A negative.
I'll take it. Our Hugg ministry began in 1983, so if you do the math, it's 32 years old, and it has come a long ways over many years of ministry, lay ministry, and as many of you know, Mary Ellen stepped out of that role of being the Hugg ministry director 3 years ago, and we formed a small team of 2 and a staff liaison 3 years ago, and that went well, and a career change for one of those leaders, and then the other stepped further into retirement, and that's Richard Flowers, who had a career change, and then Terry Wilder had a life change where he and his wife Sandy had more care responsibility of their parents. With that said, we have taken a team approach for the past greater than a year, and our Hugg ministry really is a pastoral care ministry. It's an extension of the pastoral care ministry of our church, and it cares for those in our congregation who are less mobile and therefore usually unable to attend activities regularly here at our church. It's the kind of ministry that some of you may have known from previous churches, more of a homebound ministry, but we like to think of it as a ministry with our less mobile adults. The target audience are Hugg friends who need and appreciate hugs from his or her family, church family, and we'll average between 42 and 50 different Hugg friends. Hugg friends are those that receive care from this ministry. It varies because sometimes a family member will move a Hugg friend to another state. Roberta Tassi is an example of that just a couple years ago. Some others will move well closer to family, basically. Unfortunately, we've lost, and we do lose, some of our Hugg friends to death each year. We also gain new Hugg friends each year because as folks grow less mobile in our church community, people will recommend to us that if it's somebody that we haven't noticed yet, or if somebody's noticed through a visit that they could be a recipient of that ministry, we follow up with that with a personal visit, and it's not a scientific assessment, but basically their identification of their need and their appreciation of receiving that kind of care. We match them up with people who want to be a hugger, a person that's not a caregiver, but a hugger friend, somebody that has interest in having a relationship, somebody that has interest in being aware of that person's well-being to the best of their ability. And sometimes they do identify with family members' changes. If family members particularly aren't local, that sometimes they're identified, those needs are identified to family members as well. We're also kept in better communication through our huggers as church staff, and our Bible study classes through our huggers. And because if they're with these Hugg friends, often they are aware of needs in ways that some of our previous Bible study classes that they attended still have that relationship with them as well. And there's another component of that I'll talk about in just a moment. The number of people reached for this ministry, as I've stated, it's an average of nearly 50 people that are recipients of this ministry. And when I read this question, it's to clarify, this is not necessarily an outreach ministry in itself, but yes, it does become an outreach ministry for us at times. And Sunday night, Martha Watson, who is Jason Watson's mother, she was not a church member. Jason asked us a few months ago if we would consider adding his mom to a list, and I had the opportunity to go visit Martha, and she willingly accepted to be a part of our Hugg ministry as a recipient, but she also asked how she could help us. Although she's less mobile, she asked how she could help us. And we're still working on some of those ideas. There's ways we're going to connect her with other Hugg friends to make calls or maybe help us with some encouragement activity with some of our people in our church as well. Martha also in that conversation was talking about her church past experiences and how she missed her church and yet wished she had a church that she could call her own here. And I said, well, you can. And I happen to have a membership card with me, and I brought that back signed, and end of case, she's a church member now. And she was here Sunday night for the Christmas dinner. We have well over 100 people volunteering in this ministry throughout the year. When you consider the deacons and other volunteers that help us with quarterly Hugg communion, we also have the effort of the GAs at Valentine's. They help us, they prepare so nicely cards and bags, and then there's cookies and the kindness that's shared, and volunteers from our church take those to our different Hugg friends. We also have other ways of participation as of last night. Even while we were sitting here, I received another picture from other groups that have gone out last night to Hugg Carol. I have a really neat picture of Francis I received a couple times last night, Jack, yeah. And others still coming in today. So we're grateful to have those opportunities. And last night we had 26 baskets go out and serving our Hugg friends in the community. The budget, actually let me say this, the number of members attending also is around 100 people that, not just volunteers, but 100 plus we estimate that attend different activities we have with Hugg Ministry. Amount of funding from SMBC budget is around $1,000 per year, and the amount of revenue that the Hugg Ministry brings in is zero. Unless some of our Hugg friends, which I'm certain they probably do, contribute to our church, but we don't count that as revenue for that ministry. And of course I don't follow that, nor, as you would understand, I wouldn't want to be following that. That's their personal matters in giving. The amount of funding from other sources to support this ministry is zero. The amount of revenue to other sources, again, is zero. I am the staff liaison for this ministry. We have a Hugg Ministry team, and I've listed the names of those. Diane Wright is one of those members. In fact, she's our newest member on the team. And Diane, as she's talked about hospitality, that's an example of different ministries linking with us to help make another ministry strong and support as we minister together. Brenda Clark, Rachel Tan, Diane Wright, as I mentioned, Terry Wilder, Richard Flowers, Terry Windhorst, and Bill Warren are all members of this team. Other SMBC members serving in this ministry, and I just put members at large, and because it would be a long list, and I know I would miss opportunity in mentioning everybody. Other information that might be helpful to you as well is about 3 years ago we started a emphasis in our church, and Tim and a team of people that he was working with helped us to raise an awareness of more intergenerational of our church, connecting a Hugg friend with a Bible study class, and it might be an adult. Might be with a preschool class and those children with their leaders. It might be a grade school student or a youth student class. And together, if you can imagine in a triangle, those generations evolving together to help care for our Hugg friends. And that is still a growing part of this ministry. Terry Wilder is working on that. Some of you might remember him coming to your classes to kind of prod you along to somebody's birthday's next week or this month, and that encouragement to remind you of that. He helps us with that as well. We also had a connection with recruiting, strong recruiting this past year. still this calendar year, but 2015, and we had over 30 show up for an orientation that we did as a result of the recruiting that took place, and we gained 6 new huggers out of that experience. We'll do that again next year. The team meets an average of 6 times a year, and they work carefully together. They work as a team, and each person has responsibilities. And from a staff liaison point of view, I think they work very cooperatively together, supportive of one another, and it's a fun ministry team for me to work with. Questions?
Can I just say something here? Okay. Hugg. I gave them, an acronym for Hugg, okay? Hospitality, go figure, under God's guidance. Do y'all like it?
That's very good.
All right. I can help it. That's kind of what we're doing. It's loving and leading, being the light and salt. Yeah, right.
We had a whole gang of people after we got through singing to Martha Watson last night. We turned around and the hall was full.
Awesome.
So,
Yeah. And so many stories. By the way, there were 10 groups that went out, and 10 groups came back.
Is that first?
Yeah. And we're still learning to tweak things like last night. Our team will evaluate. We've already had some early evaluation come in, but it's not a perfect ministry, but we're learning to do ministry better as we go along. And needs change for our adults as they live longer, and so we're adapting as time goes along. Other questions?
What else do you need?
We need more volunteers, and you'll hear us asking for those as we enter into the new year with another recruiting campaign, and we'll do more orientation. I think we're okay with the financial part of it, and appreciative of the support of this church for that ministry. We're also, and I'll say this as well, Richard and Terry Wilder and Richard Flowers, having those 2 changes in their lives, they're still on our team and very, very active. And by the way, pray for Terry. He has shingles, okay, in a bad way. Rachel Tan agreed after those 2 gentlemen felt that with their time constraints they could not be the team leaders. She said, I will lead for 6 months. Those 6 months went by, and we tried to not tell Rachel or remind her, but by the 8th month she reminded us. If we finish by 8, I'm going to be talking with somebody who we've been working to talk with further about being the team leader for this ministry, and we're looking forward to continued opportunities with this ministry. Any other?
How many huggers do you have here?
I didn't bring it with me tonight. The last I checked, we were right around 47, Greg.